Hello and welcome into the debut episode of the NHL Roundup Podcast. I'm Shane Stanley and I'm joined by my co-host John Hepso.
Hey.
And Max Hunt.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, so we kind of want to get in. First of all, we're going to get into the playoff talk today, but before we get started with all that, we kind of want to do a round the table intro, I guess, and kind of get into our favorite teams and how we end up getting there. So I'll let John fire it off first.
Yeah, so I'm a Habs fan. You know, ever since I was young, it was
I'll hop on that
like
train.
my Uncle Brian, my Uncle Kaz, Goody, the whole crowd was Leafs fans, right? And they'd always be up on arms,
Smart fellows,
like,
I'd say.
over-exaggerate. No, much like yourself, you know,
Yeah.
delusional. And my Uncle Seamus was always kind of like even-keel Habs fan, right? You know, he enjoyed the Habs, but he's not over the top or anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I like this team, and, you know, I like what they got going, so kind of jumped on that bandwagon when I was young. And not to mention, growing up, me and Goody, like, we always had two different color shirts.
Mhm.
Like, we'd have the same shirt, but Goody's would always be blue, and I would always be red. Mom would send us to school with the same shit on, right? So, I guess Goody automatically stuck with the blue, and I automatically stuck with the red, so.
Stuck with the good guys.
That's my story.
Yeah. But yeah, complete opposite of John. Leafs fan through and through. But,
So how
It's
did you
tough,
become a
tough.
Leafs fan, though?
Became a Leafs fan watching Matt Sundin go crazy all the time, man. He was so fun to watch. Literally sat in front of the TV, his dad's cheering in the background. But more of an even kill Leafs fan. I do go over the top.
No, you're
this
not,
season.
Max. Give it up.
This season go over the top, but all the reason to with Matthews going crazy with the 60 goals, 106 points. Gotta love it, man.
Yeah, so, like, was it kind of forced onto you by your father? Like, you're going to be a goddamn Leafs fan,
Yeah,
that's it?
I'd say it was probably forced on. Definitely. I remember I had a old Leafs jersey when I was like 1 year old. Slapped it on right away. Every year I basically had a Leafs jersey, honestly. Just growing out
Yeah,
of them all the time.
I feel like that's how it starts. Like
yeah.
like your parents are just like, here, you're cheering for this team.
Yeah, my father was Norwegian, so he's like, soccer jersey?
Yeah.
No,
Burn that.
Nah, I'm
Canadian, dude. They don't play that a whole lot here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm the weirdo here. So if I had to break the tie, first of all, between the Habs and the Leafs, I'm more on the Leafs side because, like, I don't know. I think my parents thought I was a Leafs fan growing up. And
Ontario.
Yeah.
Well, I lived there.
True.
I lived there for a tiny bit when I was younger, and like for Christmas and stuff, like my dad would send me like one of those like fold out chairs, and like it had the Leafs on it, and like we just had like basic cable, so I'd just be sitting up on my stupid little Toronto chair, and like what was on CBC every Saturday, it was the Leafs game, so that's kind of all I had to watch. So if I had to lean one way or the other on that, but that's kind of how it is. John's a Habs fan, Max is a Leafs fan, I'm somewhere in the middle. So, so my team is St. Louis. I know that's very strange, but
no, you got to start with your initial favorite team.
yeah, so how it all started, it's a long story, but so I lived in Ontario, and my dad was a Habs fan, and so he was cheering against Toronto in the year 2000, and the Leafs were really good back then. The year 2000! Yeah, the Leafs were really good back then, for those of who can remember, and they were in, I think it was the East Finals against the Devils, and so my dad was cheering against the Leafs, and then, so I was like, okay, and then Jersey started beating them, so I started cheering that on as well, because my dad was. And then, like, I guess I just stuck with Jersey because they ended up going to the finals and winning the Stanley Cup.
So what's your father then?
Habs fan.
Habs fan.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he ended up, because he was cheering against the Leafs then too.
Right.
So when the Leafs started losing in that series, I was like, okay, like I guess I'll cheer for this too, because I didn't really have it. I was 5.
Yeah.
So like I was just like, okay, like bad for Toronto, but like I knew that they played where I lived, so like I was like kind of for them, and then they started losing. I was like, okay, whatever. So I was, I was 5. So
I'll hop on
and
that
then
bandwagon.
so I kind of just became a Jersey fan, and I grew up really loving Brodeur, and then in 2015 he got really old, and he was disposable, I guess, and
Just shipped him
so
off.
he got traded to St. Louis, and Jersey was awful. So I was like, well, I guess I'll see how he does there, because like Jersey wasn't worth watching. So I kind of just watched St. Louis games in 2015, and kind of stuck with him since then.
Yeah. Well, he moved up in like an exec position too, right?
Yeah, he was.
So he's kinda
He was
staying
up.
in
He was the
routine.
assistant GM there for a little while, and then he had like some hand in the goaltending coaching.
Yeah, I think he still is their goaltending coach.
He's back in Jersey actually
Oh, okay.
doing some
This way?
front office stuff now, but yeah, I mean that's how it started. So I was a dire Jersey fan there for a while, but more of a player thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So But definitely following St. Louis right now. So so that's just a little bit about us, I guess, and how we got to where we are. So we figured that'd be interesting to touch on. All right, so now we'll get into all the awards this year for the 2022 season. So just a couple to highlight right off the bat that aren't debatable is the Rocket Richard and the Art Ross. So these are done already, and Austin Matthews won the Rocket, 60 goals, as Max mentioned before, and the Art Ross, surprise, Connor McDavid.
Every time. Yeah, it's just...
What was his point total?
123.
120. I wasn't sure if it was 123 or 128.
How many assists did he finish with after? One of you guys know?
Close to 80, I think.
He had about 40 goals, I believe.
Yeah, that
or
would
high
make
30s for sure.
If he had 80, it'd be 43 goals.
Yeah, it's impressive stuff, man.
So
it's unreal.
Him and Draisaitl just straight up dominating.
Yeah, dominating night in, night out.
This is 3 or 4 years now. They've been all up, top
1
of the
and 2.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is the William Jennings that was clinched there a few days ago for the Hurricanes for the least goals against. Now,
so can you explain what that is exactly?
Yeah, so we were discussing this the other day when we were talking about the award ceremony. It's like the William Jennings goes to the team with the least amount of goals against, but it's like who gets the physical trophy is based on the amount of games played. Like my example was back in the day, like I said, back when like Brodeur and Kiprusoff and all those guys were playing like 06 and 07, like they would play 75 games, 74, 7, like they would really like you would ride your goaltender not like you do in today's game.
Just run them to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you lost your goaltender, like in today's game, it's not so bad. Back then, if you played such a high percentage of their games, then you would get the sole credit. But in today's game, where one goalie might play 51 and another one plays 31, it would be split. So I'm not sure what exactly the cutoff is in terms of like a percentage.
I think you read it out there the other day, and it was like 30 games.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, like a 52 or more. I mean, that's pretty standard for what a starting goalie plays now. Is I don't know if the schedule changed, but like back to backs are like a big thing now when it comes to like having a good goalie. I think back then it would just be like, okay, your goalie played 15 games straight and he's freaking tired, so you would just give him a break, and then some random scrub would come in and play a game or two.
Yeah, goalies now, it's kind of like running backs in football.
Yes.
Like you used to have that workhorse running back.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of split over 2 or 3 guys. Like,
I don't know. Like I don't know if they changed the schedule so like back to backs are more common now.
I believe they are more common. Like
that's what I figured.
I know like there's certain months like each team has like 2 or 3 back to backs crammed in there.
Yeah, so especially like road trips, I mean, like usually they try to keep it like, oh, you play all the California teams or all the Canadian teams or whatever. Yeah. So usually in terms of that, you'll kind of split it up, and if your backup goalie now is getting 25, 30 games, I mean, it's pretty common. So
3 games in 4 nights as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, all those, I mean, like that definitely happens a lot more. Like I don't know, I guess I just didn't notice it like growing up watching it. Like I don't know, you just like you had your goalie and that was it. Like it wasn't really split in time.
So then I guess we got the Hart.
Yeah.
That's more of a opinion based thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Definitely. That's the MVP of the league, right?
Yep.
So there's a few people up for this, I guess.
Yeah.
Matthews, McDavid,
Shesterkin.
Huberdeau, Shesterkin, those kind of guys. Man. Yeah. I feel like you got to give it up for Matthews here. He had such an outstanding season. That's my pick for it.
Yeah, I'm with you there too.
He's the odds-on favorite.
John's first pick.
Yeah,
his first pick for the award.
Got to be objective, man. He had a great season.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, no, listen, it's not much of a secret that he's obviously a huge player in this league and a huge reason why the Leafs are so good this year.
Yeah,
and every year since he's come in, he's been a really consistent player. He's getting better and better each year. So that's who I had as well. Austin Matthews.
What about the Vezina, boys? What do you got, Max?
Vezina? It's hard not to go with Shesterkin, man. Like, he was...
I feel like he earned it.
Yeah, he was at, like, 940 save percentage, like, for most of the season.
He did drop off for
he only dropped off down to, like, 931 or something. I think that's what it's at now.
I got his numbers here now. He played 53 games. 36 of them were wins. 6 shutouts. A goals against average of 2.07 and a save percentage of 935.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal numbers. Some of the highest... numbers we've seen in years, really.
I do know the last 2 to 3 weeks of the season, he dropped off considerably. For him to lose 11 percentage points over the last 3 to 4 weeks, he must have been
He had
considerable
a
downside.
few games like let in 4 goals in less than 20 shots. Of course, I traded for him in fantasy to try and make a playoff push.
Yeah, he shit the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I think St. Louis played him a few weeks back, and he gave up 4 within the second period, and they pulled him.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that's pretty good to see. Like,
But I still don't think anyone else made enough of a push to take him off the pedestal. So for me, is
yeah.
just stripping.
Markstrom
Mr. Igor.
Markstrom was really good this year too.
Well,
I don't think he was even
I
comparable
believe he
to
has like
Sterling.
9 shutouts.
He has a lot of shutouts,
in
but,
terms of that. And I mean, obviously that helps your goals against average as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And again, like a lot of these awards go to teams that obviously are near the top of the standings, like MVP. Obviously Calgary's goaltending helped them get to the top of their standings. So definitely worth noting that Markstrom had a great year, especially coming from Vancouver. Like, it's pretty good to go to a new team and have instant success.
Yes.
On a rival too. So
Yeah.
just to dig the knife in a little bit.
So I guess next up we got the Calder.
Yeah, sure.
For me, I'd like to go with Trevor Zegras here, just because, like, the stuff he's done in this league as a rookie has been phenomenal. Like, you see him out there doing these Michigan goals and he just deking shit at everybody and roofing it on the goal. And it's like, I don't like that style of play, but for him to come in as a rookie and kind of, help this Anaheim Ducks team make their way.
He
up the
clearly
standings.
has a lot of confidence in the way he plays to be able to do that.
Yes.
And, not feel like that one that he had where he went around his own teammate.
Yes.
That was insane.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't know how many times. It was like 2 or 3 times this year.
Yeah, the flip play he had to Sonny Milano when he battled out of the air. That was crazy, man.
Yeah. It's like, based on highlight reel plays, he's the guy who stands out to me, but that's not always the guy who gets it.
I did have him as well. I did want to make note of Moritz Seider. Make sure I'm saying that right.
Mortz.
Mort's Seider.
Okay. So
A lot of people call him Mo.
I believe he had more.
Yeah.
I believe he had more points.
As a defenseman too.
Yes, exactly. But Zegras is just so fun to watch. I mean, I just couldn't not.
Yeah, I went with Seider. He's only a -9 on that Detroit team. That's another thing to mention too. Like, they had lost way more games than they've won.
Yeah. Well, he was thrown into such a
He's their top
awkward
D-man.
situation for a rookie defenseman.
And he flourished.
Yeah.
Like, he was almost 2 hits a game, 2 blocks a game.
Strong, man.
Yeah,
you see him bullying people, just pushing him
reverse
around
hitting,
like
man.
that. Yeah.
It's like stuff you see on Shell, man.
Yeah.
He's actually crazy. Like, I remember he played Philly. Like, he was a one-man wrecking crew on the penalty kill, man.
Yeah.
He was just taking the puck, going end to end, hitting the buzz, taking the puck, and then just dumps in there and goes on off the bench.
He's an impressive player. I wouldn't be sad about him getting it either.
I'd be shocked if he didn't get it. Like, I feel like it's just so uncommon as a D-man to do that.
I believe he is the betting favorite, but as I said, I just went with my personal. I like to watch Player X. You know what I mean?
There's a few really good candidates this season.
Yeah. All right. And the last one that I had there on my list was James Norris. Now, this one's a 2-man race, but it's a pretty intriguing one.
Yeah.
I am kind of offended that Hedman is not in the race.
Yeah, I am as well.
He has 85 points,
Which is insane.
which is nuts. And he's your stay-at-home defenseman.
Yeah.
He's not an offensive defenseman. He's like gonna sit down, sit home, stick out, and shut you down.
Well, I think Makar spends as much time in the offensive zone as he does the defensive. So, there's no secret as to why he has as many points as he does.
Definitely,
But Yossi was the guy who I had who stood out. I mean, he had just an insane amount of points. Not on a team that's crazy winning a lot too.
No.
So without him, they probably wouldn't be in the spot that they're in. So just a real shout out to him to really put the team on his back and really go with it. There's something to that. Whereas Makar's on a load of power play and whatever. I mean, obviously a phenomenal player, but so I figured give Yossi a shot. Plus Makar's so young, he's gonna win 10 of these.
Oh, definitely.
I'm gonna go with Makar. He's got to be my favorite player to watch.
Yeah.
Just the skating and the agility out of a defenseman. This guy could be playing forward on the first line on the best team in the entire league.
Yeah.
And he would flourish.
And he makes it look easy.
He does.
He does, yeah.
He's so fluid and his shots from the point, it's like he always finds a way to get it on net.
Yeah.
And you see him pick the smallest the smallest corner, and it's just impressive stuff.
Yeah, I'm with Shane on this one. I went with Yossi just because Plays such elite defense as well. And how many points did he get? 95, was it?
96, I believe.
96?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's just so good. And he's the reason they're winning a lot of these games, too. It's just him and Forsberg just going to work out there. And
hey, don't discredit Matt Duchene.
Yeah, I was about to say Matt Duchene.
Well, they got like 3 of them that's got a ton of points, and then they kind of got their plug-and-play players there.
Johansson and what's his name? Used to be on Minnesota.
Granlund.
Mikael Granlund, yeah. He was pretty good for them on the power play, too, this year.
Yeah. All right, so before we get into our first round matchups now, I just wanted to go around the table again and just kind of get into, like, by looking at the standings, is there a team that didn't get into the playoffs? Just kind of give an honorable mention, or a team that you thought would have been better, that would have probably made it or should have made it or had injuries or whatever. Max, you had a note on this one you want to talk about?
Yeah, like Vegas, I am so shocked they didn't make the postseason. Like,
they were riddled with injuries all year long.
They were riddled with injuries, but
and they didn't miss by much. It really came down to
the
final
close,
2 games.
Yeah, basically it was just based on injuries because like Pacioretty was out most of the season. Stone's back was flaring up again. Eichel, they traded for him, and he didn't come around until early March, I believe it was.
The defenseman you had in fantasy?
Alec Martinez, he's one of their better defensive defensemen. Zach Whitecloud, also one of their best defensive defensemen. He was out most of the season as well.
And coming down at the very end, I don't know if he was upset or whatever, but Lehner just told him, "No, I'm done. I'm done." Like in that last week or so,
it was
they're
strange
really
because
making that push, right?
It was like it was said that he was done for the season with what surgery was again?
Was his shoulder?
Some kind of surgery, and then later that week he was on the bench backing him up.
Really?
Yeah, and then suddenly, the report is finalized. He's out for the season for surgery. It was such a strange kind of order of events there with him. I don't know.
It seemed like he was upset or something with the team, and then he told him, "No, I'm not playing. I'm getting his surgery done." Like he could have just waited. Like I said, it was only 2 or 3 games. Like it wasn't a whole lot. Like they only missed by 3 points. So like they were there battling. They were close with the Kings there for a while to even move up past the wildcard spot and have like somewhat of a decent matchup against the Oilers. Like they could have surpassed a couple teams really to move up into that 3 spot, and he just didn't want to. And then I guess the team, like I said, was wondering why, and they kind of put it out that he was having the surgery, and then it was okay. I don't know. So very interesting, especially like of course with them losing Fleury there in the past year. Like if he's disgruntled and he leaves, and I mean like I don't know. It just seems like
is it management?
They're kind of in a bit of flux right now.
Is it coaching that people are pissed about?
Sure, honestly,
I don't know. But another team I would add to that list, and I'll own this pick. Because early in the season, I was high on Chicago.
Yeah.
Because Jonathan Taves, one of my favorite players of all time, just his leadership ability. He's coming back off this kind of mental illness break, I'll say.
Yeah. He didn't play a game at all last season, did he?
No. So he played 71 this year, and he had 37 points. Kind of a letdown year.
Yeah.
You know, last off season. Before the acquisition of Fleury and Seth Jones.
Yeah.
They were talking about potentially moving Kane and Taves and kind of getting some draft picks and rebuilding. But let me just list off these names. Patrick Kane, DeBrincat, Seth Jones, Dylan Strome, Johnny Taves, Kubalik, Kirby Doc, Fleury. You know,
Tyler Johnson too.
Tyler Johnson.
He was their third line center, and he was kind of a letdown. I thought
we thought that was going to be a big pickup.
Yeah, I remember me and you talking about that earlier this season. I said, he's probably going to be a great addition to our third line because I guess it was probably the system in Tampa that made him look so well. I think. Yeah. But
and then he had Lankinen backing up Fleury, who played great last year.
He did, yeah.
And they just couldn't put it together all year long.
No. Did he even have a? Well, I guess it's more or less the team's fault rather than his. I think his save percentage was like 880 something.
867.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Bad news.
It's not great.
A lot of goalies happened to this year.
I'm not sure what their issue was because I never really followed them too closely this year. But it seemed like they only had Seth Jones on the back end, and that was it.
They kind of had all the pieces in place. Like they had that veteran leadership, they had that young core that's coming up. They had goaltending with Fleury there going there at the start of the season, so like they kind of had the pieces in place to make that move. and just like inconsistent play, and like just kind of going back to what we said about Vegas. Like Vegas was close, and they're like Chicago was never close.
No.
Like they finished almost 30 points out there. 20.
They never won a game in their
They were
first
29.
16 or
Yeah,
17
that was
games.
brutal start to the year.
So
God,
yeah,
yeah.
you could tell right off the start that it was kind of going to be downhill. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did kind of go 500 from there on. 500 or a little under, because they finished 28 and 42 and 12. So if you take away those first 14 losses, then 28 and 28. You know? So they did kind of pull it together a little bit, but they couldn't overcome that massive hole they put themselves in.
Team that I really look at that probably should have been a lot better is the Islanders. This is a team now that's been in the conference finals 2 straight years. Took Tampa to 7 games last year. So they were a game away from the Stanley Cup Finals. And again, back-to-back years in the Cup Finals. They missed by 16 points. The East was decided for like the past 3 weeks. They had is very, very top-heavy in our league this year. It seemed like the playoff teams besides Vegas was really the only one that was really fighting on this last week. Like the top 16, 17 were all there. They didn't have a player reach 60 points. Brock Nelson had 37 goals. He was really the standout. Sorokin had a decent year. His goals against average was okay. I don't know. I don't really know what it was they're missing. Like, offense, I guess, by looking at
The issue for me with them is on their playoff runs, it's strictly defense.
Yeah.
It's we're going to sit home and we're going to score 3 goals a game.
Well, they were
2
never
goals a
never
game.
that like sexy team to watch.
No, they were extremely boring to watch.
It
honestly.
was
It's
Montreal
just-
Canadiens.
Yeah.
You know, it was that style of team where
Well, they
we're
almost
just gonna shut you
had
down.
that old New Jersey Devil trap style where like they're going to play defense, score timely goals, great goaltending, and then just kind of win a gross 2-1, 3-2 game. Like,
Yeah, but that's playoffs, right?
Yeah, that is playoff
It's
hockey,
not
yeah.
high scoring, crazy. You're going to blow every team out of the water.
Yeah.
It's competitive, hard fought hockey, and those defensive teams can really make an impact in the playoffs. And you've seen it the last few years with the Islanders.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
they
those
made
are
a huge push though. Like, what was it? January 1st. They were one of the top teams in the league, I believe, because they were last in the Eastern Conference for a nice while. We're pretty close to it, and they ended up like how many points away from Washington for the last wild card? Was it
16.
16. So
16,
not
yeah.
like for their terrible start, they ended up turning it around, but it just wasn't enough. Same as Chicago, put themselves in too big of a hole.
Yeah.
I just want to make another honorable mention too. I won't dive too much into their season, but Philadelphia, like I feel like again they had some pieces there. Like they got Carter Hart, they really got like the back end of their team. Like they were in the playoffs the past few years, like play-ins and stuff at the bubble, and they had some decent teams that were playing okay. Just like they're almost dead last. That's what I said. Like if they were kind of up around,
Close to the wild
card, I wouldn't probably mention them. But just to go from like a team that was in the playoffs to a team that's not, and I don't recall them losing too many people. If anything, I thought they were building something, and it seemed like they just went the other way.
It seems like every year they're going the other way, man. Like they keep adding. I think every year I've said, man, Philly's gonna probably make a decent run this year, or at least get to like maybe second round. But every year they just
Shaka
themselves in the
Cherry
foot.
had a rough season. Injuries.
He did, yeah.
He was in tough shape.
Ryan Ellis, he only played 4 games for him all year.
Yes, and he had 4 or 5 points
He did, yeah.
in those 4 games, but never played again.
Yeah, him and Provorov looked amazing together. I remember watching 3 of their games, and when they were out there, they were in the other end all the time.
Dynamic, yeah.
I do want to make a note of the Montreal Canadiens' epic collapse. Second
That's
best.
a great point that I never thought of. Yeah,
Second best team in the entire
I was
league
just
last
waiting
year,
for that.
and now they've clinched the best odds for the number 1 pick in the lottery. Like I don't know if you can ever find a greater fall from greatness.
I don't think that's ever happened before in the NHL.
Well, it's so funny because of how late the finals were last year. Like within 8 months, like you go from the Stanley Cup final to like clinch like the last place. Like here I am shitting on the Islanders. Well, they made 2 conference finals. Montreal was in the finals last year.
Yeah. When you mentioned
They got
the
dead
Islanders,
last.
when you mentioned the Islanders, it was like Habs. Yeah.
Yeah, like I never even. Yeah, that's a great point.
Like you think they were building something, you know?
Yeah.
But their team was led, like you could tell, the leaders on that team leading those rookies, Caulfield, Suzuki, these kind of players, they were led by Eric Stahl and Corey Perry.
Yeah.
Like, they were the greasy guys on the power play, getting in front of the net, getting timely goals.
And Price, obviously.
And Price, yes. And Price never played this year.
Exactly. So. Well, exactly. I think that was a big part of what happened.
That was a humongous part of this season.
And that kind of goes back to what we thought about Chicago. Like, had that veteran leadership there, as you said. Like, they lost a couple of those guys, and like had that young core behind them to really like pass the torch.
Bit of energy behind it. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But
so
like any team losing a goalie at the caliber of Carey Price, obviously something's gonna go south.
Yeah.
You can't expect to go up with losing him.
Also, not to discredit what they did, because obviously, like, their playoff run last year was great.
Oh,
like,
it was unreal.
Very fun to watch, but
the
way
I wouldn't say fun to watch.
Just like the way it was structured with them playing the Canadian teams, and like like Montreal played like Winnipeg in the second round, another team that's missing this year. Like, it's just weird how like when everything goes back to normal, and this is a whole nother thing we can get into about the playoff format and how it's kind of junk. Like,
it's brutal.
How it should go back to the way it was, but like these past years, it's been even more fiddled with and different formats, and we're kind of playing with to see what we're going to do in COVID stoppages and bubbles and no fans in the Canadian venues last year. It's just like, it's different. It's been a different couple of years. We're finally back to like a full normal playoff this year.
Yeah. So speaking of the playoffs, I guess we'll kind of get into our first round preview here.
Yep.
Yeah. Where do you guys kind of want to start with this?
I had mine in order, starting with the East.
East, okay.
Yeah.
Me as well.
So I guess we'll start with Florida and Washington.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Yeah. All right. I mean, for me, as much as I want to give Ovi credit here, as a dominant player, if Florida gives up a bunch of power plays, I mean, it's going to be rough for them because they're going to make them pay.
Yeah.
But I just don't think Washington has the depth. They only got 4 players over 50 points. And there's
Aging
eight,
core, man.
there's 8 players on Florida over 50 points, and they've got 2 more at 44.
Yeah.
So they go 10 deep. It's
their top 9 is unreal.
How are they going to overcome this? I don't know.
And also Aaron Ekblad, he's missed a lot of games this season. He's coming back in the first round. I think he's going to come back game 3. I read that a week ago or something.
Fine.
Yeah,
he's a great player.
To Max's point, he played 61 games and still had 57 points. So he's almost a point per game player.
Phenomenal.
Right.
So I got Florida Panthers in 5 games. I give Ovi 1 game. I think he can will him to 1 game.
And as we mentioned,
I gave him 2.
we were kind of talking amongst ourselves about like how it's a little bit hard for one player to really like be like, oh, I'm going to give him a game. Like, can Ovechkin like singularly win a game? Potentially, but it's hard to say. Like, I almost give the team the respect of 1 game rather than the one guy. But I understand.
Well, the way I look at it, Florida was shorthanded this year 259 times, which was high. It was top 10 in the league, while Washington only gives up 225 penalties this year.
Yeah,
and they're bottom 10. So it's like, if Florida gets into penalty trouble and they're chasing the game all the time,
and obviously who's ripping those power play shots?
It's Ovi.
It's gonna be Ovi.
Like, the power play's going through Ovi. That's why I feel like Florida will have a game where they're kind of out of control because they're kind of a young team. You think about their stars, Barkov. He's been in the league, 4 years now?
Yeah, but
4 or 5 years.
Barkov's not really getting too many penalties. Mostly Gudis. The addition of Sherratt is probably going to hurt that as well. Yeah, how many penalty minutes he gets. Me and you were talking.
I just mean a young team, inexperienced team in the playoffs, and they haven't won a playoff series since '96.
Yeah.
So we talk about the Leafs and how they're so
haven't won since
cursed.
2004. Yeah.
They're so cursed in the first round and all this, but nobody talks about Florida. They haven't won a playoff series since '96.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Like, you think about all the days they had Luongo and like they couldn't win.
Well, back in 2012 when they faced New Jersey in the first round, they went to overtime in Game 6 and Game 7, with Florida being up 3-2 in the series, and I believe Game 6 even went double overtime in Florida, and they ended up losing both games in overtime. So that was probably their closest chance.
That's heartbreaking, man.
Yeah.
So Panthers in 5. What do you got, Max?
I had Panthers in 6 just because I gave Ovi 2 games. He's my guy. I gotta respect him.
Yeah.
But I just don't see Washington pulling it off.
I can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot has to go right, and it's more than likely not going to go that way. They just need penalties on Florida's end.
Yeah, I actually had Florida in 6 as well. In their 3 head-to-head matchups, Florida did win 2-1, but they're all one-goal games. So it was close when they've matched up. And looking through Florida's roster, Huberdeau, Barkov, Reinhardt, they got Giroux at the deadline.
Declare.
Ekblad's coming back. Yeah, Declared. What a
is
career
huge.
resurgence for him. 30 goals again. Bennett 28. And he's like 10th on their list here of points. He got 28 goals. Just insane. Obviously they got the home advantage. They're 22 points better than Washington. Like I told John before we hopped on, I've seen crazier things with Tampa winning the President's Trophy and getting swept by Columbus a few years back. So anything's possible in hockey.
Yeah.
Listen, upsets happen more in this sport.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to pick the team that's the favorite. But, Florida really stands out. 6 games. Like I said, I respect Washington, what they've done. Recent Cup winners, too. I got to give them some respect. And I'll give them 2 games. Like I said, Florida 4-2.
I was talking to my buddy today, and I was kind of asking him for his opinion on this series. And he said the only way you can see Washington winning this is if Bobrovsky just falls apart.
Yeah.
But the issue is that there's nobody backstopping the Capitals goal either, Samsonov had a kind of rough year. And
Not only that, but
They both had shaky seasons, actually.
But the thing is, if the Panthers do run into goaltending trouble, they do have Knight too. So
Yeah,
they do
Knight
they do have somewhere to turn.
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
that's what they did last year against Tampa and
Yeah.
forced them to get 7 games. Were
Yeah.
they down? Was it 3-1 or 3-2? And they won. I don't know if it was 2
I think
games.
it was 3-1
yeah.
because I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be a very competitive series, and then
Yeah.
Tampa won up 3-1. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
it's not. And then they fought back.
Yeah. Knight turned that series around big time, man.
Yeah.
He was
all right,
crazy.
so Shane and Max got Florida in 6, and I've got them in 5.
So speaking of Tampa too, and Tampa's run last year, we'll get into the Tampa series. Max, I'll let you lead the way, buddy.
All right, I think it's going to be the Leafs in 7. As crazy as that sounds, the Leafs actually win the first round in 7 games, nonetheless. I know most people predicting the Leafs would probably say in 6 because they do it at home. Or no, they have home ice advantage, right?
Yeah, they
so
do, yeah. So actually, 7 kind of makes more sense.
Yeah, but I just really think the Leafs are way better this year. Matthews specifically, Marner, and Bunting has been a great substitute on that top line. Yes, Hyman was great with the boys, but he just didn't really grease it up in front of the net like Bunting does, and he also sets people off as well, drawing a lot of penalties. He has, I believe he's 3rd in the league in drawing penalties as well. And their additions on defense, that was huge. Giordano, nice steady Eddie defenseman. Playing with Liljegren. Liljegren's probably going to be on a 3rd pairing with him. It's going to be great. And goaltending is a question mark, though. I will admit that. And
For me, this series is going to be dictated by Tampa's depth, coaching, goaltending, and just the ability to play any style of hockey.
Mm-hmm.
You need fast-paced scoring, they've got it.
Yeah.
You need sit-back defense, they've got it. You've got the best defensive defenseman in the entire league just sitting back there, man, and if somebody gets past him, who do you got in net? Potentially the best goalie in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
It's just there's just so many stars on this team, and it's phenomenal to watch. How are they under the cap still?
It doesn't make any sense. And the moves they made at the deadline too, picking up a young Nick Paul, a young
Hagel.
Brandon Hagel, who's making $1.5 million.
Is huge.
Great
25
contract.
goals.
Yeah,
with
25 goals with that as well.
The thing that scares me for the Leafs, they give the puck away, the third worst amount in the entire league, 10 giveaways a game, while Tampa is sitting at 5 a game, number 1 in the entire league.
Yeah.
They just play it smart. They do not give the puck away. They don't give you transition chances 2-on-1. It's just smart hockey. But the Leafs are 4th best team in taking the puck away.
Yeah.
But when the team you're playing don't give the puck away,
Yeah.
how you going to do
It
it?
might cancel out if
It does, yeah.
if nothing else.
Tampa has unreal defensemen, but I just feel like the Leafs' speed that they have all through their lineup on each line is going to play a role in this series big time.
Yep.
So I've got Tampa in 6.
Yeah, I've got it close as well. I do have it going 7, but sorry, Max, I got to lean towards Tampa. I do have them in 7. Like I said, again, going back to head-to-head this season, close 2-2. The first 2 were very close, 1-goal games, and the last 2 were blowouts, 1 on each side.
Yeah.
So it kind of, like I said, all balances out. So I expect it to go close. I mean, again, like Tampa Bay is so good, and they fill all assets. Like we were talking about. Those of you who are familiar with our NFL and NBA podcast as well, like our pitchers is the 3. We got 3 people on each, and we were saying when we were coming up with this podcast that we can almost take them all from Tampa.
Yeah.
Like we could take a forward, like Kucherov or Stamkos, and then a defenseman and Hedman, Vasilevsky in goal. They almost fill all assets. The one thing I'll mention on Tampa that is looking at me that I wasn't really aware of was like Vasilevsky didn't necessarily have his best year. His goals against average was almost 2.5. His save percentage is down to 9-16, which is not typically as good in today's standard. And
there's been a lot of goals this year, though.
He only had two shutouts, and now he won 39 games and 63.
But his eyes really started to pop out in the playoffs.
Locked in, laser focus. I mean, you know how it is. But Stamkos finally playing a full season, played great. Hedman all 82. I mean, it's fantastic. Kucherov, I mean, wasn't healthy the whole year, but I mean, still almost 1.5 per game. Like just insane. Some of the stuff. Like they've lost some depth with the expansion draft and everything, but like I said, some key trade deadline moves to really get that back. And like not to take anything away from Toronto's just phenomenal. Their power play is going to be killer. I really might come down to goaltending because, like I said, Vasi hasn't necessarily had the best season. Campbell is literally you don't know which version of him is going to show up.
Yeah, but when he faced adversity, though, he usually does show up.
Yes.
And
he faced adversity last year against the Hebs.
Yeah,
up 3-1.
Yeah, they were up 3-1.
I just remember that Gallagher goal coming down the left side of the ice.
Oh man, that was unbelievable. Like that's a goal that you cannot let in as a goalie, especially in a game 7 like that. You need to make every easy
you gotta make
save.
You got to make the bunnies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. The bunny shots from the point that are unscreened. You just got to make the damn save. So, like you said, Shane, I think goaltending is gonna be huge in this one.
Well, it might come like again special teams as well. 2 really big power plays. I mean, in the first round, they're not. They call it tighter during the playoffs, but not as tight, like as you might see later on down the final stuff. I think both teams are, very, very high power play numbers. I think they'll have their chances. Like I said, if the goaltending is really not just enough, this could be one of the highest scoring series we've seen in some time.
Yeah,
just 2 powerhouse teams going at it. And again, going back to the playoff format, like these 2 good caliber of teams should not be playing in the first round. But that's the way it is.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move forward now to Carolina and Boston. I'll start this one. I got Carolina in 5. They just, matchup-wise, Boston just has not fit the bill at all. Carolina swept the season series 3-0 and outscored them 16-1.
That's
16-1.
And when Shane told me this, I was like, okay, I've really got to dive in and check this out. See if Boston had their guys. And they had their guys for all of these games.
They were missing, I think, 1 forward in the final game.
Or Marchand and Bergeron, actually.
Okay, yeah. So, but still, I mean, like, this is, 3 times now that they have absolutely destroyed them.
And to only tally 1 is ridiculous.
I'll still give Boston the credit of getting a game. I honestly can see them getting 2. Carolina just plays so well. They're getting the playoff experience these past few years. Like, they're making decent runs. They're not quite getting over the top. I think they might, make a really good push this year. I think it starts with a pretty dominant first-round series against Boston. Not a big Boston fan either myself, so I wouldn't hate to see it.
Yeah. I got the Bruins in 7.
Wow.
Yeah. The way I look at the stats, Carolina first in goals against. Boston 4th. Cancels out. Goals for. Hurricanes are 9th. The Bruins 15. Carolina gets a slight edge. Boston gets more shots on goal, and they're both extremely good at keeping shots off their own net. 1 and 3, respectively, Carolina and Boston. But Carolina does have the advantage in special teams, power play and penalty kill.
Yeah,
they're phenomenal in both. I just got to give it to Boston's experience, man.
Yeah,
Carolina's such a young team, with young forwards leading the charge. You got Svechnikov, Aho, and who's the third youngster?
Teravainen.
Teravainen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you
There's
know,
some good rookies too. Seth Jarvis.
Yeah, I like him.
Kakaniemi's been pretty decent the last little while.
Nita
Like
Ryder's a
15
good
games.
second and third line
He gets some
player.
clutch goals in the playoffs for him. I remember.
So, I'm just basically giving Boston the edge just based on experience here. They're a gritty team.
yeah, I have the Canes in 7 because of Boston's experience, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. And also, to point out, goaltending is probably going to be huge in this series, like the Leafs and Bolts. But I think the Canes have the edge in goaltending, big time. With Freddie, he had like a 920 save percentage this season, or around there, probably 917 or something, but practically 920. And Swayman and Allmark, I believe their combined save percentage was like 905, which is not like terrible, but I don't think it's going to be enough for the playoffs.
They're not really household names.
They're not. No.
Like they're kind of just like pretty solid.
But
you
like
know.
one thing for Allmark though, he was in Buffalo most of his career, and he came up with a winning record. He's a great goalie, but I feel like they're probably going to go with Swayman. Like what were the numbers for Allmark this year for save percentage? I believe Swayman was a little higher, but he played like
Not sure.
20 less games.
Swayman's was 914 and Allmark's was 917.
917. Okay, so pretty close.
So
Nice.
they're both pretty solid overall.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Boston doesn't give up shots.
Yeah.
They only give up 28 shots a
They
game.
actually both played 41 games each too, which is hilarious.
Oh, I thought he had like a 50, like 35
No, it was
split.
it was 41-41, so they were dead even.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
you could really flip a coin to decide
Yeah.
who's playing.
Right on. All right, so I got Boston in 7,
I had
Canes in 7,
I had Canes in 5.
Canes in 5. All right, boys. Pittsburgh, New York. To me, this is one of the most intriguing series.
It is.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one to watch, I think.
I like it.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh's really got the experience.
Yes, they do.
I don't like New York. They seem like too much of a finesse type play style to me.
Yeah.
And I don't think that fits in the playoffs. You know, you're getting pushed around. You're getting beat up. It's hyper competitive. It's not a useless regular season game, game 60 where teams are starting to get worn down and New York is starting to beat the shit out of everybody at the end of the season. This is some real business here. You got 3-time Stanley Cup champion here, Sidney Crosby coming into town. I'm giving it to Pittsburgh in 7. Based on my patented scoring chart, they win this 6-2. Overall, I've got 9 stats listed there along with the big player factor, and Pittsburgh takes this one. What do you say?
I got the Rangers in 6, actually. I feel like goaltending is going to be key in this series. Jarry may miss game 1, possibly 2. Casey DeSmith, well, I mean, his name is Casey DeShit for a reason.
Hey, don't shit talk me. He had a 55 save shutout.
Oh, yeah, I love that for my fantasy matchup, but it wasn't enough in the end. I ended up losing.
I'm just going to tell a quick story.
Yeah.
So Max picked him up, and he's like, God damn, I got to play Casey DeShit tonight. Oh, gross. And every, 20 minutes, he'd be giving me an update. Oh, my God, he's at 30 saves, and they haven't scored yet. Oh, my God, he's at 40 saves, they haven't scored yet. John, he got a 55 save shutout for me.
52.
Or whatever it was, yeah.
It was unreal.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I can't see them getting that every game in the playoffs.
Oh, no, definitely not.
No.
But yeah, he's been very shaky this season, letting in a lot of gross goals. Like we were talking about Campbell there, a lot of weak shots from the sideboards. A couple from below the goal line, I think. Yeah, you can't be letting that in the playoffs.
No.
Maybe he will tighten it up, and he's like, okay, yeah, I gotta smarten up and win a few games for the team. But I don't think it's gonna be enough. I really don't. And
So you got Rangers in 6.
I have the Rangers in 6, and another thing I'd like to point out is since the trade deadline, the Rangers are first in 5-on-5 goals, and they are first in slot chances allowed with 10, I believe it was, or no, it's 7 or 8 now. It was 10 before, and they were 28th in the league. Yeah.
Wow.
So what do you got here, Shane?
Yeah, I got the Rangers in 6 as well. Rangers won the season series 3-1, and they scored Pittsburgh 11-4 in that matchup. I mean, their offense is fantastic. Zibanejad, Panarin, Kreider had just a fantastic year.
52 goals. Wasn't
Strome, Koppel, 20 goals. Vetrano, Lafreniere, 20-goal guys. Like, just phenomenal. Goaltending edge, of course, especially with Jarry out. But heavily go on to Rangers. Home ice. I mean, the only thing that really you look at Pittsburgh and they got, like I said, the superstar factor and the experience. So, I mean, like I said, I'll give them a couple games. I think this could be a nail biter right to the end. Each game could be, a one goal game. I do feel the Rangers they don't have experience, but I feel like they have, like, as a team they've been there. Not necessarily the players they have. Like, they've made runs in past years. I don't know. I just feel like this is their time to really step up and make that push. Finally get out there and actually win something. Like, they haven't really done that. Pittsburgh, like I said, I feel like this is probably one of their last shots at it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like they're definitely going to go out and give it everything they got. Their last shot, they might have to start losing a bit of that core. It's unfortunate with the goaltending because I thought this probably would have picked in 7 if they had full squad. Like I said, they're getting older now too. Like, I don't know. It's a deep playoff run. I don't know if they can hold up. So I'll take the Rangers in 6. I really like what I've seen from this year. I think there's potential. There's a little bit of fraud in them, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now.
I will say, Pittsburgh has third best penalty kill in the league, and they're top 5 in least amount of penalties given up.
Yeah.
So they're a very well disciplined team with a phenomenal penalty kill when they do give up penalties. So that helped me pick them. We're kind of distracted here by the Golden State Warriors Memphis game here. We're in the last
coming down to the wire.
Come on, Curry.
All right, we will we'll hop over to the West here now. So we'll start off with Colorado and Nashville. This is a closer season series than you may have thought. Nashville actually won it 3-1, but 2 of those games were in overtime. So obviously the 3-on-3 factor won't be there. It'll be 5-on-5 overtimes with the first goal to win, and I would give the advantage to Colorado 5-on-5. But Nashville did win the season series against them. I will take Colorado in 6 though. I mean, obviously their team is just insane. They're really good. They've got better goaltending. I mean, their offense is off the charts. Their defense scores, of course, we were talking about earlier. There's almost nothing they don't do. Their power play is one of the best I've ever seen. Really, the thing that handicapped them in past years was goaltending. Now, Kemper's numbers aren't jump off the charts at you, but neither were Grubauer's before, and they always still made a decent run. They've been to the second round, I believe, 3 years in a row. They got put out in like Game 7 of the second round, so it's like they're so close there each time, just whether or not they can get over that hump. Health has been an issue for a lot of their top forwards, whether or not they can all stay healthy and be there for when they need them. But, I think they'll do so. I do like Nashville's, like I said, those couple of forwards that are there that really put up a lot of points, but I feel like the depth isn't necessarily there for them to keep up, and I think they're going to need their whole squad to be scoring.
Yes,
their goaltending would have to be phenomenal. I think it's enough to win a couple games. I think they may even give them a scare. I think they might even be up 2-1 in the series and then lose 3 straight after that. So I think they may even make you believe it for a minute and then fall off. So I'll take Colorado in 6.
Based on John's patented scoring table,
which is a staple of these podcasts, by the way. He had it for the NBA as well.
Yeah, haven't done it for football yet.
No,
but they win 8-0. There's nothing that the Predators are better than them at.
That's insane.
It doesn't make any sense. So just for that fact alone, and the fact that I'm not as knowledgeable as Max and Shane in hockey here, I kind of depend on this a little more. I'm going with Colorado in 5 games.
Yeah.
5 games.
Yeah,
Quick 4-1 series.
I think like if there is potential, and again, Nashville's matched up well against them, but I feel like if there's a potential for a sweep, would you say that this is probably the series that jumps out the most?
Yeah. Let me just go through right quick. Florida. I can see them sweeping Washington.
Oilers and Kings. Also.
Oh yeah.
LA doesn't really have much star power.
No.
Goaltending also.
Yeah. Yeah. So what series are we on here? Yeah,
Avs
Avalanche
and
in 5. What do you
Yeah, I had the Avs in 5 as well.
Okay.
Like, Saros is going to miss games 1, possibly 2. That's going to be huge. They're going to be relying on big save Dave Rittich. Like, come on. When did he start for Calgary?
Who the hell's that?
2015 or
He
2016?
used to play in Calgary.
Yeah, he was
Okay.
okay for a
I
while.
don't know.
Yeah.
Big save, Dave. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was his
Wow.
nickname for a little while when he was Calgary starter for a little bit.
Okay.
He's not really anything special. He's a fringe backup, honestly. Like, he's had a couple good games to end the season though for the Avalanche. Predator, sorry. But they won in OT the other night against the Avalanche mainly because of him. Really, he made some key saves.
And like Landeskog hasn't been there, and I don't know what
Yeah.
his status is now for Game 1. Is
I'm
he
not
available?
sure. I don't know. I haven't read
Again,
into it.
like it just goes back. Like they've had the core for so long, they're in and out of the lineup.
Yeah.
They can't stay healthy. Their depth is good sometimes.
Yeah,
Other
but-
times it's not. Goaltending is a question. Like if they put everything together at one time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they would probably kill everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always something going on.
But again, this is the finesse factor for me.
Yeah.
Colorado's one of my favorite teams just because, like this year in fantasy, I decided to just go all in on Colorado.
Yeah.
And I've watched more Colorado games than I have anyone else in this whole year. And it's finesse. It's not representative of playoff hockey.
Which again, they've made it to Game 7s in the past like 2 or 3 years, and they've lost all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very worrisome for me
Yeah.
because I want them to go deep and I want them to get something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as for this series, I think we'll close it fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So we'll move on to St. Louis and Minnesota. So, I mean, this one on paper is one of the better ones.
This is gonna be one of
it's
the best
razor
series.
thin. They were battling down the stretch here the past week for home ice, but Minnesota had the extra game, so they were able to close it out. And so St. Louis played them well this year. They won all 3 games that they played. 2 of them, again, were in overtime. So, again, subtract the 3-on-3 factor. That'll be gone now during the playoffs, so take stock into that for whatever. But I mean, both teams are so good. I find that Minnesota just never quits. Like I found that like watching these games down the stretch this week, like they were down 2-0 or 3-0 almost every time, and they would always come back, and I would look and it'd be 3-0, and then I would look and it's 5-3. Like they would just pound 5 goals in out of absolutely
pesky
nowhere.
team.
As for St. Louis, I mean, they're super balanced. I mean, they have, I'll just count them up here, they have 9 people with 20 or more goals. They've got,
Jesus.
they've got,
But they've got no standout. Or
No.
Tarasenko.
well, yeah,
35?
he had
Yeah.
34, yeah.
Unreal year. for him.
Yeah, I mean, they had about 9 people with 50 points. So, I mean, just straight up, very, very balanced. Their defense can score. Their defense on the defense side itself and the goaltending is probably the biggest issue. Husso is probably going to start, and he has absolutely no playoff experience at all. So he's probably the biggest red flag for them going into this series. Their special teams is really well. Same thing with the Wild. In terms of their goaltending, they traded for Fleury, so obviously you got someone there with that experience. And then Talbot's there if anything ever happens to him. And I don't know who do you feel will start for them? I'm not sure. Probably Fleury.
Minnesota.
I'm going to say Fleury.
Yeah, if
Probably
you don't
just
go
with
with
the-
Because like
Fleury,
Talbot's
I'd be
kind of
so
been their guy,
surprised.
so you want to be loyal, you can kind of give it to him. But like Fleury's kind
The
of
playoff experience, right? You almost got to go with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Fleury's the team guy. It doesn't matter to
Yeah.
him.
no.
Yeah.
If he's
He
getting
is,
the
yeah.
opportunity, he'll come in and perform.
That's how he was in Vegas. He was like, "Yeah, play Leonard whenever. I'll play. Like,
Yeah.
whenever you need me, I'll get in between the pipes. I don't mind."
Yeah, I think Minnesota's a little bit more top heavy with Kaprizov, 108 points. They've only got about 5 or 6 players that got about 50 points, and there's a pretty wide gap between him and Fiala, and
How many did Fiala have?
85 points.
85. Yeah, he turned it on the last half of the season.
Yeah, so it's going to be razor thin. I will take St. Louis in 7 just because of the bias factor. I've got to pick my own team here, but I mean, Game 7's in Minnesota. Flip a coin.
Yeah, I've got Minnesota in 7.
Come on.
Sorry, Shane. But 2 high-flying teams.
Yeah.
St. Louis number 3 in goals for, Minnesota number 5. I say a wash. where St. Louis does have the advantage, though, is on the defensive side. They've only given up 229 goals this year, while Minnesota's 250. Other than that, Minnesota actually doesn't give the puck away very often. You would figure with a younger team, a lot of, quick, like Kaprizov. You see him, he goes around the net, skates it around the blue line, around the net again.
He does laps.
And it's like, you would figure they would be giving the puck away a lot because they're kind of relying on him to initiate the offense a little bit. But, he's been effective.
Yeah, very
He's
effective.
been very effective.
He only dishes it off like whenever he sees an open guy.
Yeah, he's just waiting till somebody cuts and gets open.
One of the most fun guys to watch in the league, honestly.
Yeah. So, other than that, I don't really have much reason. It's 4-4 in the...
It's as close of a matchup as I can remember in some
Like, I was pulling my hair out trying to decide the winner in this one. Like, this was my last one I was deciding on. But in the end, I decided to go with the Blues. I feel like their experience is going to be huge in this series. And Tarasenko loves playing in the playoffs.
All right, so now we'll hop into the Calgary versus Dallas series. I have another close one here. Their season series, Calgary won 2-1. They're all very close games. I think this one might have upset written all over it, but I'll take Calgary in 7 because I think they'll come out on top at the very end, but I think this could be razor thin the whole way through. Dallas has the experience. They made it to the Cup Finals there 2 years back. Calgary's the number 1 team, but I don't think in the Pacific, I think they're in, right?
They're in the
okay.
Pacific,
So they made it first place there, but again, just Dallas has played well. They've really been fighting for their life for the past 2 weeks. So I mean, this is really, they've almost been playing playoff hockey for the past 2 weeks or so to even get in. I feel like I'm not fully sold on Dallas's goaltending. I feel like that's probably the biggest thing that stands out. Ottinger's okay. I'm not, his stats are nothing. Like, their offense doesn't blow you away. There's nobody that gets a ton of points. Like, Pavelski's their best, highest point scorer, and I mean, he's just like on a career high.
Yeah, Robertson's been really good.
Yeah,
Robertson's
40 goals.
Games,
I mean, So
they've got some pieces.
Yeah,
Besides that, though, they are the only 3 to break 50 points. So
Sagan started extremely slow, but he's like almost like every second game he's getting in there. So like that could be huge in the playoffs. Like,
he reminds me of Taylor Hall. Like, I feel like their careers have been the same
so
arc.
similar,
like, so good where you can almost win the hard.
Yeah.
And now it's more or less 40, 50 point seasons. Ups and downs, inconsistency.
Well, it's just that depth scoring that, like, obviously, your second line or your second power play or whatever, where you can be effective. But yeah, Calgary, like, again, I feel like there's a couple teams, like I mentioned with the Rangers too. Like, they're good teams, they're high in the standings, but they got that little bit of fraud on them that I'm not fully sold on them. I think Calgary's got a little tiny bit of that on them as well. I'm not fully sold on them. I feel like this could be a bit of a fluke season for them. Markstrom, again, we touched on it earlier, 9 shutouts, played fantastic. Gaudreau, 115 points. Kachuk, 104. But again, very, very top heavy. Like, after those 2 in Lindholm, the next highest is 55. Double the points, like I said, with those top guys. It's really, really top heavy. If they can, Dallas can really work on using their best line against Calgary's, and they can neutralize special teams. I think they'll have certainly a shot. Again, Game 7, Calgary got the home ice, so I'll give them the advantage the last change. So I'll give Calgary a slight edge, but I'm not confident about it.
Yeah, I'm going Calgary in 6 here. Get back to the scoring table. Calgary, top 6 in the league in goals for.
Yeah.
3rd overall in goals against. 3rd overall in shots per game. 5th overall in shots against per game. So they're great offensively and great defensively. While Dallas is bottom 20 in the league in all 4 of those stats.
Yeah.
They do not take the puck away. They only average 5 a game. While Calgary averages about 8 to 9 a game. They give the puck away at some of the highest rate in the league, and so does Calgary, but that's because of their style of offense is high flying, scoring goals, try anything to get a goal, I don't see that with Dallas. I see it more as
They're like a really old school team. Like,
old school.
Yeah.
Like, the skill isn't there.
I feel like that's going to show this series, and Calgary's just going to take over and probably... I'd say this is going to be one of the worst series to watch. I'd say there's going to be a few 4-1, 5-1 games. I think it's going to be...
Yeah.
blown
So,
out of the water, man.
I got Calgary in 6.
I have them as 6 as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll move along to the last series here. We got Edmonton and LA. I've got Edmonton in 5. I mean, this is not really a whole lot here to see. There's not a lot of star power on the LA side. Edmonton did win the season series 3-1. It was a wide margin win in each, and then 2 close ones that were by Edmonton later in the season. I don't know. The only thing I can say about LA is maybe they get a spark with Dustin Brown leaving after the season. I mean, I don't know. Their Doughty's gone. Their goaltending's okay at best. I don't see anything there for them. Edmonton should win this series.
Yeah.
They have
Yes.
to. If they lose this, blow it up.
Jesus.
Like, I literally don't know what else they can do if they don't win this series. Like, what can you do?
Yeah.
They have to win this.
I mean, the way I look at it, LA Kings are bottom 25 in almost every stat that I have listed here. Edmonton is top 10 in almost every stat here. The only thing the LA Kings got on them is shots per game and shots against per game.
Yeah.
But even Edmonton is top 10 in both of those stats. So, I got Edmonton in 5 as well. I think it's going to be a dominant showing by them.
Yeah, I have the Oilers in 6, mainly because I feel like Jonathan Quick's experience is going to show here, because when he needs to play great, he plays amazing. Like, he was
Yeah,
one.
he's really quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Here.
But he's such an acrobatic goalie.
Just
he
to
makes
put,
such
like-
crazy saves.
Like
too.
a football analogy on this, John. Does he remind you a little bit of like Joe Flacco? Like
Jonathan Quick?
Yeah, just in the sense that like
clutch?
he's okay, and then the playoffs start, and then he's nuts.
Yeah.
Like, he's just amazing in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah.
And then, like during the regular season, he's just like, oh yeah, whatever. Like
Yeah.
he's okay. Like, he's getting older. Don't look at himself. Is he done? And then the playoffs come, he's just nuts. Like, I mean, he's always been
Quick.
like, it's weird how it's like 2 different people.
So really, like you said, he could steal a couple games, but other
Yeah.
than that, I got
Yeah,
to
McDavid-
give it to Edmonton. My God, please give us a Canadian team that gets somewhere. I don't care who it is. It doesn't, even if it's the Leafs. Just get out of the first goddamn round.
Yeah.
And just make a decent showing for us here in Canada, sitting up.
Yeah.
Well, if my picks come through, it'll be Calgary versus Edmonton in the second round. So then you're guaranteed one in the West Finals.
Yes,
too.
Yeah.
Jesus, give
So
us that.
that would be okay in that sense.
My predictions would be the best outcome possible.
Well, 3 Canadian
yeah.
teams moving on. Yeah,
it would be.
not
Yeah.
likely though.
No, I was kind of alluding to my picks there. Got a Canadian team going pretty deep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get into our finals picks here at the very end. But before we get there, I want to kind of go around the table again and give a surprise team, just 1 or 2 if you want to just give an honorable mention to a team that you expect to go a bit further that might not be like a heavy favorite, and one heavier team that you see might be vulnerable to an upset potentially.
Yeah, over the last couple years, obviously the Avalanche have kind of, they've slipped up in the second round.
Yeah.
But their second round matchup this year would be the Wild or the Blues, and I just think their offense is just too much for those teams to handle. So I don't think it's them this year. I will say the Leafs.
Yeah.
Just because of Tampa. But if they can get through Tampa, then they got the Panthers.
Yeah, they have the Panthers.
And it's like, what the hell are you going to do? And then you could possibly meet the Rangers or the Hurricane. It could be one of the greatest finals runs of all time. Like, this is insane. But
and every point in the East, or every team is a 100-point team.
Yeah.
yes,
So I
unbelievable.
mean, they're all good. Right?
They're all crazy
So
teams
they're all
in the
really
East.
I'll just put the Leafs there as a potential letdown team, partially because I'm a Habs fan, and a team that I can see potentially going somewhere is the Pittsburgh Penguins. When I was young, I was a big Ovi fan, and I hated Crosby just because he weaned all the time. But eventually, you kind of see the evolution of Crosby, and he's a phenomenal leader, and he's got to be the most well-rounded player in the entire league. Like, every facet of the game, this guy is just dominant. Malkin is there. Gensel is there. you've got the
They added Raquel
playmakers.
as well. He was a great ad under second
They've got
line.
another guy there too.
Brian Rust.
Rust is there.
Crystal Tang.
Crystal Tang, man. This team, there's a lot of playmakers here,
Yeah.
and I can see them taking out the Hurricanes or the Bruins in the next round.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have it tough if they make the conference finals, of course. But yeah, I'll go with the Penguins here.
Yeah. I have the Bruins as a potential, well, not a disappointment, but I feel like with their experience, they can go pretty far.
Like a surprise team.
Yeah, they can surprise a lot of teams. It's just their only question mark to me is goaltending. Their D is solid. They're all pretty young, but they've all been there on their deep runs. Like Carlo, he's a great defensive defenseman.
Yep.
McAvoy, Hampus Lindholm. It was a great ad for them for years to come. He's a very, very quiet defenseman in the league that you don't hear about much, mainly because he was on a terrible Anaheim team. He plays unreal defense, makes a smart pass every play. He barely gives up the puck, actually. And for my disappointment team, to me, there's a few, like the Leafs, Avs, Oilers, Flames. I can't really narrow it down to one.
Don't name them all, my son.
Yeah, no, there's
there's 8 teams here.
Yeah, there's 8 teams, but those are the 4 that I could see being huge disappointments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Shane?
I think a surprise team, I mentioned them earlier, was the Rangers. I think there's potential, like, they're on the easier side of the bracket. Like, if Carolina were to get upset in the first round, like I said, there's room there that they can have. Like, I don't think their match against Pittsburgh is necessarily as hard. I could be wrong. And then, like the second round, like I said, it could be Boston or a team that they match up well against a little bit better. I think they have potential to get to the finals if their scoring is in place, their goaltending stays strong, special teams is on point. So we'll see. I like them. Just honorable mention. I think the Stars can, again, if everything falls in place. I think their matchup isn't great, but I do think it'll be close. So if they can win that first round match again, they're on that side.
They've got a nice bracket.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Like Edmonton or LA, like I think I'd almost have them as the favorite in the second round. So if I think it will go to 7 with Calgary, and if they came out on the winning side of that, I don't know.
Maybe they pick up some
Yeah.
momentum.
I did pick Calgary, but like I said, that could be a 1-goal game if it tends to go the other way. Like I said, Dallas can certainly make it to the third round, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. In terms of surprise upsets, I think it's kind of hard to pick one, as I said, but I think the loser of the Tampa-Toronto, just because it's two great teams that don't expect. I would lean more on the Tampa side just because like Toronto has lost in first, so like it'd just be another first round.
It's almost
loss.
expected.
It's not. Yeah, it's almost somewhat expected. But Tampa losing it,
2-time defending
back-to-back
champs.
champions, and then losing against a team that never wins this round. So I'm leaning more towards Tampa.
Yeah, definitely.
But they are technically the underdogs, being the road team. So I mean, it's hard to say it'd be an upset. But
I got a question. So, if you're the Leafs and you get eliminated in the first round again, do you potentially kind of blow this up a little bit
Yeah.
and kind of change directions here?
I wouldn't after this loss because of who they're playing.
I think it depends on how they go out.
Yeah,
If they get
if
swept-
they get destroyed, yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
If it's a nice tight series, go to 7, you lose.
Yeah,
you're running back.
We were that close. You tip your cap, come back next year.
Yeah. I feel like what the Leafs will do if they get either swept or honestly even lose. I feel like if they lose, Dubas is going to go and make a move. He has made some good moves as a GM for the Leafs.
But what do you move, though?
The only expendable contract that you have would be Nylander, and then you'd probably have to try and get rid of Mrazek, but you won't get much with his value at like $3.5 million for the next 2 years. But you'd have to get rid of Nylander, at least now while he's at almost a point or over a point per game, and you got to get a goalie. They added their D. Giordano said he's going to stay on a team-friendly deal.
So really, you hope Bunting comes and replaces Nylander now.
Yeah.
After a good season from Bunting, you hope he kind of progresses into a top-line guy, second-line guy.
Like they hope Nylander was going to be the top-line guy to play with Marner and Matthews, but it just when they play together, it's not the same with Bunting out there. Like you need
Bunting is more of a defensive player.
He is,
Nylander,
yeah.
I find he's just out there floating around.
Yeah,
He's just
he
out for
is.
skate. Like,
Yeah.
if he sees the puck, he's gone. But
Yeah.
if it's if it's him playing defense, he's
Oh,
just
it's almost like he's bored.
Yes, unless he doesn't have puck.
Exactly.
Or unless he does have puck.
Yeah, he actually leads the league in breakaways. But on
Cherry
the defensive side, I think he's the worst on the Leafs in terms of plus minus.
Yeah.
He's close to minus 20, I believe. Yeah.
So it was. I mean, I guess that kind of puts the bow on it. Other than our finals picks,
Oh yeah.
right? So, Shane, I'm gonna let you go first here. I kind of got to think about this for a second.
I'm really tied in a knot here between two teams in the East. In the West, I'll take Colorado. I just think it's their time. It's kind of hard to not pick them. I mean, one of these years they're going to break through. I mean, they're so like if there's tiers in terms of West teams, is them and everybody else.
I agree.
They're just like the closest is probably Minnesota and St. Louis. They're going to beat the living shit out of each other in the first round.
Yeah.
So Colorado's not only going to get a team that they're on paper better than, but a team that's coming in beat up and battle tested too. But I mean, certainly they'll be heavy favorites. So I'd like to see that they're the team to come through. Picking between Florida and Tampa Bay is very, very hard. And then Carolina's there too. I mean, there's really, you can draw a name out of a hat. I'll take Tampa Bay just because of the experience. I really don't know what else to base it on besides that. I mean, I think Florida can certainly do it. Obviously, I just think Tampa, like I said, has played them well, beat them last year. I think they just got to jump on them with the experience. I mean, it's kind of a boring pick to pick like two probably like betting favorites, you know what I mean? But and it almost never falls that way either. One of these teams are probably gonna be shocked or upset by a team that shouldn't be there. And I think Carolina's a good second pick just because I think like again they've been there. They just got to put it all in one place. But yeah, I'll take Tampa and Colorado.
I've got the same. I just think it's so dominant. A lot of people are thinking, is it burnout for Tampa?
Yeah.
Back-to-back years in the Cup Final.
Well, if they were to go
season
to the finals now, I mean, that's almost like a full season. If you put extra play, if you put all three playoff runs.
Unbelievable. Like,
crazy.
Taxing on the body.
Yeah.
But the way they've played this year, you almost can't say that.
Mm-hmm.
Stamkos' first 100-point season. Kucherov playing insane. Hedman 85 points.
Sergachev's picked it up this season too.
Sergachev. You got Vasilevsky back there. It's like there's just it's so hard to bet against that team. So I got Lightning and Avalanche as well for a super exciting Stanley Cup final.
Yeah,
it will be a very fun series.
My West team is the same, but I actually have the Leafs making the finals.
Nice.
But are we gonna say the games like who we think is gonna win? Because that's what I did there.
We didn't pick in our NBA one.
No.
Okay.
So if you want to pick it, let it rip.
Yeah.
I said the Avs in 7. I just feel like the Leafs aren't gonna have enough.
You went all that way to the final game, and now you're gonna wilt. Come on, Max. Have some courage of your convictions.
In 7, too.
I know that's what.
The ultimate heartbreak.
Come on, you're gonna go all that way.
You're a sucker for punishment.
All the rugged. Like that would be the ultimate.
I am a Leafs fan, man.
This may be the only thing worse than them getting beaten in the first round.
Oh,
that would just be awful.
That would put the cherry on top, man. But you almost can't be mad seeing them go that far. But I feel like back-to-back years, I feel like this is gonna be the Cup final. Leafs and Avs.
That is insane. Wow. Okay, so do you think Toronto will come back the next year and beat them?
Next year, I feel like they're gonna smoke them. 6 games.
Okay. Okay, so Max is taking the Leafs in 6 in the Cup Finals of next year's final. So we'll note that one.
Mark that down.
Yeah, mark that down on the first podcast ever under hot take.
Hopefully it won't be another Atlanta Hawks take again.
Yeah, that's right.
I was a year off of that one though. Yeah.
All right, well, I guess that kind of wraps it up.
That was a great way to end. Don't say that.
Yeah, that was a great way to end.
Yeah. It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, boys, I'm looking forward to the playoffs this year. It should be fun, especially if it comes down like that. It's a 7-game Stanley Cup. There's so many good teams. Again, with like almost every team in the playoffs having 100 points. I don't think there's a way you can have like a boring Cup Finals. I think it should be very fun.
Yeah.
Regardless of who makes it, but
and just with the level of goal scoring this season.
This season,
I'm not sure if the playoffs are going to be a different version of the playoffs this year.
I mean, obviously, you're not taking as many chances. There's no 3-on-3 overtime, all that shit. But,
Yeah. Just imagine how exciting that would be, like maybe seeing like a 6-4 playoff game, maybe consistently again this season.
Yeah,
that would be unreal.
I mean, I think if anything, like like there's not really a whole lot of standout goaltending either, and then the
No,
offense is
there's not.
also at an
Yeah.
all-time high. So I think like you factor both of those things in, and it's just
Yeah.
goal lights on everywhere.
Yeah.
Like goaltending this season, it's like Shesterkin's 930, and I don't think there's many or any in 920.
No.
Anderson and Markstrom's probably about it.
Yeah.
Usually there's like
sure
a
will.
lot of star goalies like 920 plus. Like,
Yeah, this has been a different year.
Yeah.
And maybe that is towards the Leafs' favor.
Yeah, it could be.
Who knows?
I
might
feel
be,
like
yeah.
a lot of high scoring teams are going to have that in their favor, not just the Leafs, the Avs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I have two of them making the Cup final.
All right, so thanks for listening, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll just put it out there now. If you're fans of NFL or NBA, we also do podcasts like this, or vice versa. If you know with the hockey playoffs coming up, well, it's very popular here in Canada. So shout out to your friends. Anybody want to come on and hear some breakdowns of all the series and predictions and about your favorite teams and all that. So. Like, share, and subscribe, like I said, about all that. So for Shane Stanley and John Hepso and Max, thanks for listening.
See you later.
Yep. See you later,
Peace
folks.
out.